In January 2026, The Atlantic asked whether Jollibee could beat American fast food at its own game. 4 months later, All Recipes called its chicken better than KFC. Reuters then reported that Jollibee was preparing to place its international business on a U.S. stock exchange. And in Texas, the Filipino chain began exploring a 15-store expansion in San Antonio. But this invasion did not begin in America. It began in 1981 when McDonald's entered the Philippines expecting to dominate and found a local bee waiting for war. Subscribe to Production Pathway because this is not a story about who made the better burger. It is the story of the one market McDonald's could enter, grow inside, and still never control.
Chapter 1. The Giant Arrives.
Before Jollibee became a national symbol, it was an ice cream business. Tony Ton Cactiong's family opened an ice cream parlor in 1975. But customers kept asking for hot food, and those meals quickly became more popular than the ice cream. By 1978, that small experiment had transformed into Jollibee. Then McDonald's arrived. The giant brought global recognition, professional training, deeper systems, and a business model already proven around the world. Jollibee had only a few years of experience. On paper, this should have been an execution, not a rivalry. Even Jollibee's leadership later admitted that when it listed McDonald's advantages, the list filled more than a page. Jollibee's advantage filled only one line: taste. And that one line changed the entire war.
Chapter 2. The Advantage McDonald's Underestimated.
McDonald's understood fast food. Jollibee understood Filipinos. Its burgers were sweeter and more heavily seasoned. Its spaghetti used a sweet-style sauce with hot dog pieces. Rice was not treated like an unusual side dish, and fried chicken with gravy became Chickenjoy. To an outsider, the menu could look strange. To Filipino families, it tasted familiar. That difference matters because food is not purchased only with money. It is purchased with memory. Birthdays, school celebrations, family meals, and childhood routines turned Jollibee from another restaurant into emotional territory. McDonald's could reproduce a product, but it could not manufacture the years of belonging already attached to it. And here is the uncomfortable question. When a global company enters your country, should local customers adapt to the brand, or should the brand adapt to them? Tell me in the comments, in this battle, was taste genuinely more powerful than McDonald's scale?
Chapter 3. The Moment the Giant Changed.
McDonald's did adapt. Its Philippine operation developed localized offerings such as sweet spaghetti, bone-in fried chicken, rice meals, and breakfast products designed around Filipino preferences. That does not prove every product was directly copied from Jollibee, but it reveals who was setting the terms of the fight. The company famous for standardizing fast food across the planet was now changing its formula inside Jollibee's home market. That was the hidden victory. Jollibee did not defeat McDonald's by becoming more American. It made McDonald's become more Filipino. And yet, McDonald's did not disappear. It continued operating successfully and expanding across the country. This was not a corporate collapse. It was something much more frustrating. McDonald's succeeded, but could not take the crown.
Chapter 4. The Thing Money Could Not Buy.
Jollibee understood that taste alone would not be enough forever, so it improved service, cleanliness, training, and operations, the areas where McDonald's originally held the advantage. But while Jollibee learned McDonald's strengths, McDonald's could never completely erase Jollibee's cultural advantage. Its cheerful bee mascot carried a different emotional message. McDonald's represented global modernity. Jollibee represented something closer to home. The rivalry was no longer burgers against chicken. It became imported prestige against local confidence. For decades, global brands entered developing markets carrying an unspoken assumption: foreign meant better. Jollibee challenged that assumption. It proved that a local company did not need to imitate an American giant forever. It could study the giant, learn from it, and then force that giant to compete on local terms. McDonald's had more money, more experience, more global power, but Jollibee owned the one asset McDonald's could not simply purchase: belonging. If you believe cultural loyalty can overpower corporate money, hit like, because Jollibee's next move reversed the entire war.
Chapter 5: The Reverse Invasion.
In 1998, Jollibee opened its first American restaurant in Daly City, California. At first, Filipino communities became its natural customer base. For immigrants, Chickenjoy and Jolly Spaghetti were not simply menu items, they were edible memories of home. But Jollibee now wants more than nostalgia. The Atlantic reported roughly 80 American locations and ambitions for hundreds more. Then all recipes stopped treating Jollibee like a foreign curiosity and directly positioned its chicken against America's established giants. In San Antonio, Jollibee began evaluating a plan for at least 15 additional restaurants over the next 5 to 6 years. Then came the most symbolic move. Reuters reported that Jollibee planned to separate its international operations and pursue a U.S. stock market listing in late 2027. By the third quarter of 2025, approximately 6,800 of the group's 10,300 restaurants were outside the Philippines. America once exported its fast food formula to Manila. Now a Filipino company was bringing its restaurants, its flavors, and potentially its international business to America's own capital markets. But Jollibee's most aggressive strategy had already been tested decades earlier, and it did not depend on building bigger restaurants.
Chapter 6: The Swarm Strategy.
McDonald's fought with size. Jollibee answered with density. When a new McDonald's opened a large restaurant, Jollibee could not always match it building for building, so it used a more aggressive tactic: surround that giant with a ring of smaller outlets. One Golden Arches fortress could suddenly find Jollibee appearing across the neighborhood, closer to homes, easier to reach, and constantly visible. It was not about building the biggest restaurant, it was about owning the customer's route. McDonald's planted a flag. Jollibee covered the map. Every additional store reinforced a message the giant could not erase. This market already had a favorite. The strategy transformed Jollibee's smaller size into a weapon. One McDonald's location might have been larger, but multiple Jollibee stores could control more corners, more neighborhoods, and more daily decisions. Because you do not always defeat an empire by attacking its castle. Sometimes you make sure nobody can see it.
Chapter 7: The Crown McDonald's Could Not Take.
So why could McDonald's never defeat Jollibee? Not because McDonald's was weak, because its greatest weapon, global consistency, became a limitation against a competitor built around local identity. Jollibee protected the taste gap, transformed familiarity into loyalty, surrounded larger rivals with smarter coverage, and forced the world's most powerful fast food machine to fight on Filipino terms. But the next battle is harder. In the Philippines, Jollibee was defending its home territory. In America, it must convince customers with no childhood memories, no national attachment, and dozens of powerful alternatives. McDonald's could never take Jollibee's crown in the Philippines. Last time, McDonald's entered the Philippines expecting another easy victory. Instead, it spent decades chasing a crown it could never wear. But that wasn't the hardest battle, because defeating McDonald's in your own country is one thing. Walking into America is something completely different. Today, Jollibee isn't protecting its home, it's stepping onto McDonald's home turf, where every street already has a burger giant, every customer already has a favorite, and every mistake is brutally expensive. Yet Reuters reported something almost unthinkable. Jollibee now wants its international business listed on a U.S. stock exchange while accelerating its global expansion. So here's the question. Did Jollibee already win the war, or is it about to enter the battle it was never built to survive? Because by the end of this video, you'll understand why America could become Jollibee's greatest victory or its biggest reality check. If you enjoy premium business documentaries that uncover the strategies behind the world's biggest brands, subscribe to Production Pathway, because today, the battlefield has changed.
Chapter 1: The Reverse Invasion.
For almost half a century, America exported fast food to the world. McDonald's, KFC, Burger King. The formula was always the same. American brands entered foreign markets, and local restaurants tried to survive. But Jollibee quietly flipped that story. It didn't just build another overseas restaurant, it began exporting a Filipino brand back to the country that invented modern fast food. That reversal is bigger than it sounds, because Jollibee isn't trying to sell Americans an unfamiliar chicken meal. It's trying to prove that an outsider can compete inside the world's most competitive restaurant market. And that's exactly why America is different. In the Philippines, people already understood Jollibee, its taste, its mascot, its memories. In America, none of that exists. Most customers don't grow up celebrating birthdays at Jollibee. Many don't even know what Jolly Spaghetti is. Some have never heard of the brand at all. That means Jollibee has to do something it never had to do back home. It has to earn attention before it can earn loyalty. And that's where this story becomes uncomfortable, because McDonald's isn't even Jollibee's biggest problem anymore. Its biggest challenge is something far more powerful than any competitor. And that's exactly where this battle changes forever.
Chapter 2: Why America is Harder Than the Philippines.
Here's the uncomfortable truth. Jollibee isn't entering an empty market. It's entering the most crowded fast food battlefield on Earth. Every block already has a burger. Every neighborhood already has fried chicken. Every customer already has a favorite. That's what makes this expansion so controversial, because America isn't looking for another restaurant. It's deciding whether Jollibee deserves to replace one. And replacing a habit is far harder than creating one. Then came a headline almost nobody expected. Reuters reported that Jollibee plans to spin off its international business and pursue a U.S. stock market listing. Think about that. Most companies open restaurants, then look for investors. Jollibee is asking America for both customers and Wall Street's confidence. That's an enormous gamble, because if America says yes, Jollibee won't just grow. It could become one of the first Filipino restaurant brands to play on the world's biggest financial stage. But before investors buy the story, American customers have to believe it. And that's where the real rivalry begins.
Chapter 3: The Taste Trap.
Here's where this story takes an unexpected turn. Most people think if Americans like the food, Jollibee wins. Business doesn't work that way, because liking a meal and changing a habit are two completely different things. In the Philippines, Jollibee was part of childhood. In America, it's asking strangers for their first impression, and first impressions can make or break an entire brand. That's why Jollibee faces a decision McDonald's never had to make in the Philippines. Should it become more American or stay proudly Filipino? Change too much and it risks becoming just another fried chicken chain. Change too little and millions of Americans may never walk through the door. That's the trap, not competition, identity. Ironically, the very thing that helped Jollibee defeat McDonald's at home could become its biggest challenge in America. And that's exactly why the company's next move may decide whether this becomes a global success story or an expensive lesson.
Chapter 4: The Immigrant Advantage.
Here's the criticism Jollibee hears the most. Only Filipinos eat there. At first, that sounds like a weakness, but what if it's actually the strategy? Think about how most global restaurant chains expand. They spend millions convincing strangers to try something new. Jollibee didn't have to. It already had millions of loyal Filipinos living overseas. Those communities became its first customers, its first marketers, and its first proof that the brand could survive in America. That's an advantage McDonald's never needed, because McDonald's was exporting familiarity. Jollibee is exporting identity. The real question isn't, can Filipinos make Jollibee successful? They already have. The real question is, can everyone else fall in love with it too? If you think Jollibee can become America's next mainstream fast food brand, hit like. But if you think it'll always remain a niche favorite, let me know in the comments. I genuinely want to know which side you're on. Because if Jollibee crosses that line, this won't just be another restaurant success story. It'll become one of the few foreign fast food brands to turn immigrant loyalty into mainstream American demand. And that's where this story reaches its final test.
Chapter 5: The American Test.
In the Philippines, Jollibee had one priceless advantage: time. It spent decades becoming part of birthdays, family dinners, and childhood memories. America won't give it that luxury. It has only one chance to make a first impression, because Americans don't choose restaurants out of loyalty, they choose them out of habit, and habits are incredibly difficult to break. That's why this isn't really a battle against McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or Popeyes. It's a battle against routine, against convenience, against decades of customer behavior. That's the real mountain Jollibee has to climb. And yet, if one Filipino restaurant can convince millions of Americans to make room for something completely different, it won't just change one company. It will prove that the next global fast food giant doesn't have to come from America. It could come from anywhere. So here's my question. 5 years from now, will Jollibee become a mainstream American fast food brand, or will it always remain a niche favorite? Let me know your prediction in the comments, because the answer could decide how the next generation of global restaurant brands expands. So, can Jollibee beat America? Maybe we're asking the wrong question, because America isn't a trophy, it's a test. Back in the Philippines, Jollibee fought to protect its home. In America, it has to build one. That's a much harder battle. McDonald's already proved that an American brand can conquer the world. Now Jollibee is trying to prove that the world can conquer America. If it succeeds, it won't just change one company. It could change how every local brand thinks about going global. But if it fails, it won't be because America rejected Filipino food. It'll be because winning customers is much easier than changing their habits. McDonald's couldn't take Jollibee's crown in the Philippines. Now America will decide whether Jollibee deserves one of its own. Now the question is whether Jollibee can make America understand why.